Hello grade 5, how are you? I am Dawn, checking your midterm exam papers, and many of you got perfect scores. You all did a good job. Now, for this video, we are going to answer the activities from the previous lessons in order for us to proceed to the next topic, because we cannot move on to a new lesson if we cannot answer these activities, okay? So are you ready? So for our first activity, we are going to have page 72. Kindly open your books to page 72. So for this activity, we are going to have this one, wherein it is just a review from our previous topic about features of living things and their environment, and also their importance of these features. Now, so it says here we have to complete the table. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 animals, and we are going to complete this table about them. So let's take a closer look. Okay, so let's start with number 1. So we can see here a leaf insect. Again, this is called leaf insect. On the first column, you can see the features that fit in its environment. Okay, so the features of this leafed insect is the green body, or it has a green body. Second, its body shape looks like leaves. Okay, so these are the features of this leafed insect. Now on the third column, you can see the importance of these features. So it is blank here. That means we have to answer this one. Now, going back to their features, why do you think so that they have green body, or they have body shape that looks like leaves? That's right. So what you are thinking is correct. So they have green body and they have a body shape that looks like leaves in order for them to blend in with the environment to keep itself from the enemy. They blend in, or they camouflage to the leaves. Next, number 2, we have here duck. Okay, a brown duck. So what we're going to write here are the features of this duck. Can you observe? Can you tell me the features of this duck? Okay, first, they have big flat beak. Big flat beak. What I'm pointing right now is the beak of the duck. What about their feathers? What about their feathers? They have waterproof feathers. And what about their feet? What about the feet of the duck? How do you describe the feet of the duck? They have webbed feet, just like frogs. Okay? Now, what are the importance of these features? In order for them to find food under the water, they use their big flat beak to find food underwater. And they have waterproof feathers and webbed feet in order for them to swim well on the water. So that's it. For number 3, we have a falcon. Okay, a falcon have light, hollow bones. Also, sharp beak and claws. Now, what do you think is the importance of these features? They have light and hollow bones in order for them to fly. Next, they use their sharp beak and claws to catch prey. Okay, so that's number 3. Now for number 4, you can see, can you tell me what animal is this? That's right, it's a polar bear. It's a polar bear. Now, look at the fur of the polar bear. Is it thick or thin? Is it thick or thin? That's right, they have thick fur. They have thick fur and they have fat layer under the skin. Now, the importance of this one is in order for them to keep itself warm in cold weather because they live in cold places like the North Pole. Next, for number 5, you can see how they call this animal. This is called camel, right? This is camel. Now, their features are they have fatty hump. This is the fatty hump. They have short fur. And they have long eyelashes. They have long eyelashes. First, what is the importance of this fatty hump? In order for them to store food as fat. In order for them to store their food as fat. Now, what about their short fur? That's right. In order for them to control body temperature because they live in a very hot place like the desert. Okay? And what about the third one? Why do they have long eyelashes? So, as we know, the desert is very dusty and sandy, right? So, their long eyelashes protect their eyes from the sand. So, that is the importance of their eyelashes. Okay? Now, let's proceed to page 73. 73. Now, for page 73, this is the relationship of living things and non-living things. So again, we are finished with this one, and this is just a review activity. So let's take a closer look. Okay, so for the first picture, we can see an alligator and water. Alligator and water. Let's read number 1. This is a relationship between two living things or living and non-living thing. So, as you observe in this picture, are they both living things or living thing and non-living thing? If your answer is two living things, take the circle. If your answer is living and non-living things, take the circle. So, if you're thinking that the answer is living and non-living things, then you are correct. Let's proceed. They are blank and blank. So, can you name what's in the picture? How do you call this animal? It's a crocodile and, again, water. That's right. Okay, so let's proceed. They link together by their blank. So what is their relationship? How do they link to each other? Okay, so they link together by their living space and food source because the water is the habitat of crocodile and at the same time it is the source of its food because crocodile feed on other water animals like small fishes and others. Okay, now for number 2, look at this picture. As you can see, we have a bird and insect. Here is the insect. The bird caught an insect using its beak. So basically, we have bird and insect. So let's proceed. So are they two living things or living thing and non-living thing? That's right. So your answer should be two living things. Let's proceed. They are blank and blank. Again, name what is in the picture. They are a bird and an insect. Now, how are they linked together? What is their relationship? They link together by their, as you can see, food source because the bird feed on the insect. Let's proceed to number 3. As you can see in the picture, we can see a flower or a plant and a bee. So, are they both living things or not? That's right. We can see two living things. Now, can you name what's in the picture again? We can see a bee and a flower. Now, how are they linked to each other? They link together by their blank. So again, the bee feed on the nectar of the flower by their food source? Okay, so for number 4, you can see a tiny scale, a plant, and soil. Okay, so are they both living things, two living things, or living and non-living thing? We have tiny scale, which is a living thing, and the soil is a non-living thing. So you should take this circle. Now, let's name this again. This is a Chinese scale and soil. Now, the Chinese scale gets its food from the soil, so they link together by their living space and food source. Okay, that's it for number 4. And for number 5, we can see a clownfish and anemone. Again, anemone is not a plant, but it's an animal. It looks like a plant, but actually this is also an animal. So they are both animals. So basically your answer should be 2 living things. Again, how do you call this one? How do you call this animal? It's a clownfish. How about this one? It's an anemone. Now, they link together by their blank. So as you can see, the anemone serves as the protection of the clownfish. So let's just say living space and shelter. This is also on page 74. So here, we are going to go back to the food web and food chains. Okay? You also have this in your exam. It says here, look at the food web and answer the questions. So we have 5 questions here, and here is the food web. Okay, so let's have a review. What are food web again? So this is an example of a food web. So as you can see, this food web is a group of food chains. Okay, and food chains follow a single path as animals eat each other. So in this food web, we can see a lot of food chains. Now let's proceed to number 1. For number 1, the producer is blank. Where is the producer? That's right. If you said the rice, then you are correct. For number 2, the consumers are blank. So, on this food web, we have 6 consumers. So, can you tell me what are the 6 consumers? The rice is eaten by the grasshopper and the caterpillar. And the grasshopper is eaten by the frog, while the caterpillar is eaten by the bird. Now, the frog then is eaten by the snake and the falcon. So these are the 6 consumers in this food web. So let's move to number 3. There are blank food chains. So as I said a while ago, we have a lot of food chains here. Now let's count. Let's start with rice, grasshopper, frog, falcon. That is 1 food chain. Let's find another food chain. We have rice, caterpillar, bird, and falcon. That's another food chain. We have rice, grasshopper, bird, falcon. That's another food chain. And rice, grasshopper, frog, snake, and falcon. So how many food chains are there? We have 4 food chains. Now, for number 4, the natural predators of the frog are blank and blank. So let's look at the frog. As you can see here, the frog is eaten by the snake and the falcon. So let's write here snake and falcon. And for the last question, from the food web, write down 1 food chain. Okay, so from the 4 food chains that I have mentioned a while ago, I'm gonna write my own example. Okay, this is my example. You can write your own answer. Okay, now to move on, Let's open our books to page 77 to 78. So for this one, we are just going to answer number 1 until number 15. Okay? So are you ready? Let's start. Number 1 question. Why does a cactus have needle-shaped leaves? I repeat, why does a cactus have needle-shaped leaves? A. To store water. B. To fight the enemy. C. To reduce water loss. D. To make its stem lightweight. Now for this one, I'm not going to give your answer. You are going to circle the correct answer. If your answer is letter A, circle letter A. If your answer is letter B, circle letter B. Circle letter C or circle letter D. Now I assume that you already circled your answer. So let's proceed to number 2. Which makes living things change their features? Which makes living things change their features? A. Soil, light, air. B. Soil, temperature, light. C. Light, air, temperature. Or D. Soil, light, temperature, air. Again, circle the correct answer. Circle the letter of the correct answer. Okay, let's proceed to number 3. Why does a camel have hump? Why does a camel have hump? This one is the hump of the camel. Why do they have this one? A. To store fat as energy. B. To reduce the body heat. C. To help with its movement. Or D. To help with breathing. A, B, C, or D. Circle your answer. Okay, for number 4, which is a relationship between living things and non-living things? Which is a relationship between living things and non-living things? A. Monkeys living in a forest. B. Ants building their nest underground. C. Bees building their hives on a tree. Or D. Butterflies sucking nectar from flowers. So I repeat, we have A. Monkeys and forest. B. Ants and underground. C. Bees and tree. D. Butterflies and flowers. So which is a relationship between living things and non-living things? Circle your answer now. Okay, now for number 5, which shows that the living thing fits in its habitat? Again, habitat is their living space. A. Water mimosa has small leaves to float on the water. Again, this is a picture of a water mimosa. B. A polar bear has a thin layer of fat to keep in its heat. This is a picture of a polar bear. C. A baobab's trunk stores large amount of water. This is a picture of a baobab. Or D. A frog has webbed feet to help with breathing in the water. So this is a frog which has a webbed feet. So which shows that the living thing fits in its habitat? A, B, C, or D? Okay, now for number 6, which has the same relationship as a wild orchid and a tree? Which has the same relationship as a wild orchid and a tree? Wild orchid is a plant A tree is also a plant? A tiger and a deer? B, a caterpillar and a bird? C, a devil's ivy and a tree? A devil's ivy is a kind of plant. Or D, a corn plant and a grasshopper? A, B, C, or D? Circle your answer now. Okay, for number 7, what is the relationship between black ants and aphids? These are aphids, okay? They are very tiny insects. Now, what is the relationship between black ants and aphids? Let's see. A food source. B, a shelter. C, a living space. Or D, reproduction and nursery sites. Class, the aphids provide food for the ants, okay? These green aphids provide foods for the ants, but that doesn't mean that ants eat the aphid. Ants do not eat the aphids, but they eat the honeydew that they produce. So these tiny aphids here produce honeydew, which is then eaten by ants, because we all know that ants like sweet foods, right? Okay, so what do you think is the answer? A, food source or food resource. B, a shelter. C, a living space. Or D, reproduction and nursery sites. Circle your answer now. Let's proceed to number 8. For number 8, 9, and 10, we are going to refer our answers from this food chain. So we have rice, blank, A is blank, spider, bird, and falcon. Okay, let's proceed to number 8. Which is correct? A, rice, spider, and bird are producers. B, only the falcon is a consumer. C, only the falcon is a producer. Or D, only the rice plant is a producer. Which is the correct answer, or which is correct? A, B, C, or D? For number 9, what is A in this food chain? Okay, so as you can see, this is letter A, which means unknown. So what is A in this food chain? Is it A, snake, B, chameleon, C, owl, or D, grasshopper? Which among these animals and insects eat the rice? Circle your answer. That's right. Now for number 10, what is the role of the rice? Okay, so what is the role of the rice? Is it A, predator, B, producer, C, consumer, or D, decomposer? Circle your answer now. Okay, let's proceed to number 11. Which disease cannot be passed on through genetics? Which disease cannot be passed on through genetics? So you can base your answer on page 61. Okay, is it A, anemia, B, color blindness, C, diabetes, or D, hepatitis? Again, which disease cannot be passed on through genetics? Okay, now for number 12, which trait can be passed on? Which trait can be passed on? A, tooth decay, B, red eye, C, dimple, D, otitis media. Otitis media is an inflammation or infection located in the middle ear. Okay, so circle your answer. And let's proceed to number 13. So, Which relationship is different from the others? Which relationship is different from the others? A. The devil's ivy living on a tree. Again, a devil's ivy is a plant. B. A caterpillar eating a fruit on a tree. C. A squirrel living in a hole in a tree. D. A bird building a nest on a tree. Which one is different? Circle your answer. Now for number 14, which is not a way to care for natural resources and the environment? Which is not a way to care for natural resources and the environment? A. Teach people to care for natural resources and the environment. B. Bring back water and soil to their good quality. C. Do shifting farming to stop the soil from losing nutrients. D. Help take care and stop cutting off forests. Circle your answer. For number 15, who helps look after natural resources and the environment? Who helps look after natural resources and the environment? A. Jake saw someone cutting down trees but is afraid to tell anyone because he might be harmed. B. Mary always joins in tree planting activities. C. Bob likes to go to the forest with her friends during the holidays. D. Lisa pours the laundry water into the river. Okay, who among them helps look after natural resources and environment? A, B, C, or D? Circle your answer. Okay, now if you're finished answering, you can check your answers if you got the correct one. Okay? So here are the correct answer. Try to check your answers if you got the correct one. Did you get the correct answers? If yes, then very good. So that's the end for now. For our next discussion, please wait for further announcement because we might try to use Zoom for our class. That's all. Have a great day and goodbye. Hello, students.